focus. So there, good, okay. So talk a little bit about the book and how it came about.
Gianna, I want to kick it off.
Well, sure. So, originally we were talking, Chronicle and HBO, about doing writing the book of Vampire, writing the Vampire Bible. And, as we sort of started to outline and figure out what that would look like, we realized it might not be as fun of a read as we had hoped it would be. So I pitched this idea of doing sort of a comprehensive field guide to the creatures on the show. And they responded to it, and so we really fine-tuned the idea. And I started outlining it, and I kept calling Michael for advice, because we work on the comic books together, and he knows all about lore and mythology, and
you were asking, what would Steve's point of view be, and that kind of stuff, too.
Right.
So there was some...
Because it was written from Steve. Steve wrote it, right?
Right, and he just had so much to offer that I knew it would be a much better book if we
I also
did it
had
together.
some dirt on Gianna, so basically blackmailed her into letting me write
But
this
we
one.
weren't supposed to talk about
I
that.
had to see what it was.
End of scene.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long did it take you to write it? And what was the process?
Can we say we banged it out pretty quick?
We banged it out pretty quick.
Yeah, we also work really fast together, and I think we kind of set that that pace working on the comic book, because the comic book was a monthly thing. Mm-hmm. So we started really writing it in January of last year, and then we were done with it by March or April, and then of course we had to do some revisions and everything. But
Yeah.
we wrote it pretty quick. It was fun.
And
It's easier. It goes by a lot quicker when you have two people working on it.
Yeah, working on it together. And did you you wrote some of the comic books together? When did that start?
Michael wrote the comic books, and I would.
But you were involved, right?
Sorry.
You were involved.
Yes. I was the story editor, and
we should say I did.
So what does that mean? Do you
co-write
rewrite?
some of the comic books
yes,
with
you did with
Mark
Mark
Andreyko.
Oh. So co-editor, does that mean that you rewrite some of it, or that you...
I think I was really there to just help make sure that it stayed in line with the spirit of what the show was doing. And you can really do. Michael knows, because Michael's a big comic book fan. But you can sort of do things in comics that you can't do on a show, and vice versa.
Right.
So we wanted to strike that balance of having fun with the comics and giving the fans something that they wouldn't get on the show, but at the same time, really staying within the sort of the world and the mythology of the show. So I was sort of helping.
You were like a story editor on the book. Gianna kind of acted as the producer's point of view. So she worked closely with Alan. So if I would pitch ideas or work on stuff came through, she would give us notes, and refer to things to Alan and say, hey, they want to try this or they want to do this, and then.
Did Alan have input on this book?
He did. Yes, at the very beginning, when we were putting the sort of the initial ideas together. Yes.
Okay. So can I ask you individual questions?
Sure, of course.
Okay. So first, Gianna, what was it like starting working at HBO? I know you started on Towelhead with Alan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did.
How different is your life now than it was then?
I learned so much working there, and I felt like I was sort of thrown in. My first or second day on the job, we were actually shooting the Fellowship of the Sun camp.
Oh yeah.
Yes, with the
that's
Light
cool.
of Day Institute. So we were out at this sort of beautiful
Right, I've been
campsite,
there.
and I think you guys were talking about giving the rings away.
Oh yeah.
And that was one of my first days on the show.
This picture.
Right there,
yes.
Oh,
So I definitely
camp.
Yeah.
it was just a lot of fun. I mean, I think it didn't really ever feel like work. It always felt like play. So I had a great time.
And now that Alan, are you still working directly for Alan, or?
I'm not anymore.
Okay, so you're with HBO and working on True Blood.
Yeah, I'm working on a few of the sort of projects that I had started before when Alan was still running the show.
Oh, so you're developing.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
And Michael, now that Steve is no more.
Yeah. He's an angel, I'd like to say. He finally found his place in heaven.
What?
Alongside Jason Stackhouse.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day.
I love you, Jason Stackhouse. What's next? Like, I know you've been doing some other sitcoms.
Yeah, I recur on Hot in Cleveland, so I'm gone back. I'll be in another episode of
And
that.
that
this new
video,
season.
that web program that you just
Yeah,
did.
I've got a couple web things going on right now. I just did one called John Davis Gets a Sex Robot, where I played John Davis.
Yeah, that
in
was
that.
like, that
And
was
then
so funny.
I just shot another one that's produced by Sean Hayes and Todd Milliner, who do Hot in Cleveland, called Micah the Asshole Ghost. Or I guess it's A-Hole Ghost, but that'll
Depending
be out.
upon whether it's on cable or on network, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. And then I actually I shot a movie that's coming out in December called The Banshee Chapter, which is a horror thriller. I think people who are into True Blood will probably really dig. It's
Cool.
really scary.
It looks awesome.
Yeah,
from
it's
the
pretty
trailer,
cool, yeah.
Now, I know the answer's going to be you can't say anything, but I'm going to ask about season 7. What's happening? Are the writers writing? Are they working hard? Are we going to be thrilled?
They're working. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm dead.
You're dead. But Gianna's still involved.
No, the
Are
writers
things
are
busy
working on
over
it.
there?
You know what? I think so. I'm not as closely involved in the show anymore.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I know that they're writing, and I'm sure it will be awesome, as it
Okay.
always is.
Okay. And how do you both feel about the end of True Blood in general?
Well, personally, I mean, it's bittersweet. I mean, I'm excited because I always, as a fan of shows, I love it when a show that I'm into is like ramping up for the big finale. But it's also kind of sad to see the whole thing come to an end after 7 seasons. I mean, the past 6 seasons, the show that everyone at HBO and on the show, and I've made such good friends, and it's really been a family. So it's tough to say goodbye. But
Yeah.
the good thing is, I really do think that I've built like personal relationships are going to last for a long time.
Yeah, and I think the fans are so. I think the show will have a second life, even when it ends. I
Yeah.
think people are still going to talk about it. They're still going to go back and watch the DVDs, and
Oh, yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Okay. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.